So today, briefly, I'm going to be talking about learning, lifelong learning as a creative. So whether you're a designer or whatever career path you are on, lifelong learning is an important thing to put yourself on a path where you are continuously learning. It's essential in getting to the epitome of your career. In fact, if you're a lifelong learner, you realize that you never get to the epitome of your career, because once you get to a particular height, you see that there's always a higher mountain for you to climb. So it's a fun thing being a learner and being someone that is attracted to knowledge and information. However, tonight, I want to spend some time, just a little bit of time, because I know you have some questions, and I have more interesting questions than in lecturing. I want to talk a little bit about why lifelong learning is hard for us, a couple of us, where it's hard for us to understand the concept of what lifelong learning is actually about. And that's because we normally confuse this thing called learning with education. We confuse it. They, they sound similar, but at the very core, they are very different things in terms of what the motivation to both are. So when we think about learning, a lot of us put our mind in an educational institution. So if I ask anybody here if they are lifelong learners, or if they are people that are continuous learners, a lot of them will tell you, yes, I'm a continuous learner because I just bought this course. I just signed out for this. I just signed up for this course. So you see, in the era we're living in right now, there are a lot of people that are signed up for numerous courses. You understand? So you say, I signed up for this typography course. I signed up for this UX course. I signed up for this logo design course. I signed up for this. It's and they feel because they are signing up for courses, they are learning. But what you realize, and some of you are here today, you have signed up for like 5 courses, but you've only completed one. And that one that you completed was even by force. You've paid for a lot of online courses, but then for most of them, you only attended one class and only read one module before you moved on to the next thing. And that's because what we chase is education, not learning. And learning and education are two different things. It is easy to be a lifelong learner. It is very, very hard to have lifelong education. Very hard. Because education, a lot of times, good education is expensive. It's expensive. It costs money to get good education. Learning, on the other hand, is free. Learning is free. There's an opportunity to learn every single day. Every single day. The moment you wake up, your learning experience starts. But a lot of us, we don't pay attention in the classroom of learning. We only pay attention in the classroom of education. And so our knowledge is very classroom based. It's
Yeah.
not everyday based.
100.
Sorry, is the mic on?
Yes, sir. Sorry. Mr. Lucky, can you kindly mute him from the back end?
All right, thanks, okay. So, well, our
Hi.
Yeah,
Can you mute your mic, please? All right, sir. That's sorted now. Thank you.
all right, thank you. All right, so we don't pay attention to learning, but we pay attention to education, and that's why a lot of us are not improving. We are not improving. So you see, I spent a lot of time doing graphic design, 2 decades. You understand, actively doing graphic design, 2 decades doing it, and My work got very good. But what people don't understand, because when people see my work, a lot of people say, "Oh, what books are you reading? What school did you go to? What materials are you using? What websites do you go to?" And that's where we miss it. You see, the secret is not in the materials. It's not in the school. It really isn't. I learned design by observing everyday life, by taking inspiration from everything and anything. I take inspiration when I see someone and I see the way they are dressed. I look at the colors on their clothes and I'm like, I never, and I tell myself, look, I never knew that you could combine these two colors and they go well together. I get inspiration by looking at nature. By looking at a leaf, I can get inspiration. You see, and that's the beautiful thing. I learn from everything and anything. So when people tell me, recommend a book to me, I don't know what to recommend to them. And so there was a time I put up a post on Instagram, and I was telling people that I watched a I watched a program with my son, who was 6 at the time, 6-year-old son at the time, and he was watching a program called Color Blocks, and it's for kids. And I sat down and I watched it with him. I normally watch programs with them, and after I watched it, I was like, "Whoa! I learned so much from this program about how to use colors." But the biggest mistake I made is that I went on Instagram and I said, if you want to learn about colors, watch Color Blocks. And a lot of designers came to me some days later and said, I watched it, I didn't get anything now. It was just they're just talking about childish things, they were just for babies now. And I realized that these people watched it like they were in a classroom and a lecturer was teaching. So they were watching to get educated. They were not watching to learn. And that was a problem. And that's why when they watched Color Blocks, they didn't get anything from it. Because immediately they watched it, they had their pen and paper ready, like if they were attending a lecture. And you don't learn that way. You see, the difference between learning and education is that you learn to understand, but you get educated to use. You learn to understand a subject matter, but you get educated to use that knowledge. And what I mean is when I when I learn, and when I was watching Color Blocks, I wasn't watching Color Blocks to use the information to do a logo. I was watching it to understand about colors. When people I recommended Color Blocks went to watch it, they watched it so that they can use the information to become better designers, and so that they can use the information in their next project. Everybody is so destination minded, and when you become destination minded, you stop becoming journey minded, and so you are not enjoying the journey. You're only thinking of, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And then you're missing out on the exciting things on the way. Learning is the journey. Education a lot of time focuses on the destination. So when we get education to use it to become something. So that's the problem with education. And that's why the schooling education has a problem. Because when you get educated in the school, especially in the university, you get educated to become a lawyer. You get educated to become a doctor. You get educated to become an architect. You understand? So you are taking education because you want to use it to become something. And that's a problem. But with learning, when you learn about stuff, you learn to understand. So the difference between someone that goes to study medicine and someone that learns about the body is that when you go to school to study medicine, you go because you want to use it to become something. So there's a self-serving end at that destination. But when you are learning, what happens is you learn about the body because you want to understand your body. Not because you want to become something, no, because you want to gain understanding. So learning comes from curiosity. The motivation behind learning is to be curious in your mind. The motivation behind education is to end up at a career. You understand? So that's the shortcoming of education. And that's why people are not lifelong learners. Because when what they call learning is becoming something. So they're always thinking, I want to become something. But when you're learning something, you're not trying to become something. You're trying to believe in something. You're trying to build a belief in something. And this affects every area of our lives, even to religion. So people that a lot of people use religion as a means of getting to heaven. You understand? So religion becomes so destination minded. So like whatever I do, as long as when I die, I don't go to hell. You understand? And then I will read my Bible, I will read my Quran, I will pray so that I don't go to hell. Those are the people that are never good disciples of their faith. But if you are reading it because you want to understand what life is about and understand how to love and understand how to be kind, how to be caring, how to live life to the fullest, those are the people that use their faith. And when they use their faith, they use it as a means of expressing themselves, not as a means of getting themselves to a destination. So I feel one thing we must learn to stop doing is stop this education mindset that we have. You see, the world right now is so information cluttered. There's so much information everywhere. There's so many courses, so many classes, so many online courses, materials and stuff like that. And people are signing on because they want to become better designers. And I think we need to take our attention away from there. What we ought to do is learn to understand, is to understand the subject matter of designer, not for a client, for yourself. You understand? For yourself. Once you start learning for yourself, you would realize that when a client comes, you serve them easily. You serve them easily. So we need to start getting to that mindset of learning for ourselves, not for the client. And how can this be done? You see, when you're learning is about deconstruction. Deconstruction, that's what learning is about. Deconstruction. You see, I was watching a YouTube channel today, and they're talking about this 16-year-old boy that hacked the CIA website. CIA. You understand? CIA. You see, CIA is meant to be the center of intelligence. You understand? So you have the most intelligent people working there. So when they build their website, there's so much security around it that it's hard for just anybody to just hack their website. But this 16-year-old boy in the US hacked the CIA website and was manipulating, and they were at his mercy for a period of time. And I was kind of interested, how did this boy do it? And they kind of talked about the boy's story. And they said when the boy was 8 years old, his father bought him a laptop. The father bought him a laptop and gave it to him. And the boy sat down with that laptop for hours in the day. He only left that laptop when he wanted to eat and do other things. But every other time he was at that laptop just chucking away, thinking, what does this button do? If I press this, what does it do? And by 9 years old, he was already hacking his school website. He was already getting into his school website and adjusting the grades of his classmates and the grades that the teachers are putting in there at 9. At 9 years old, he was doing that. So by the time he was 16, there was no website he couldn't get through. CIA website was just a walk in the past. In fact, before he was 16, he had already hacked the database of a particular country. I've forgotten what country it was. He had already hacked into the country's database from his house, or not from an office, before he was 16 years old. You see, he committed a crime. But beyond that, what you must look at is, why was he able to do that? And people that went to Harvard still find it hard to hack CIA website. They still say, oh, CIA website, we can't do it, it's too hard. But a boy, 16, that had not even graduated from high school was able to hack a website that was developed by a company that specializes in security of a website. You understand? How was he able to do that? Because that boy was learning about programming. He didn't have an education in programming. He was learning. What he did every day was sit at that laptop and deconstruct everything. He deconstructed everything, and I'm sure that sometimes he spoiled that laptop that they will have to take it somewhere and fix it because he has pressed something or put in a command that he shouldn't have put there. How many of you are doing that with graphic design? How many of you are, without a client coming to you, you're just sitting on that software, whether it's CorelDRAW, Illustrator, Figma, Photoshop, and you're just like, let's even see what is behind this Photoshop. Let's see what this button does. Let's see what this effect does. Let's see what happens when you mix this effect with this. That you do it to a point whereby your computer now crashes. That's what learning is about. When you are ready to deconstruct and pull it apart. You see, there's some people, when you buy them electronics, I know some people like that, some of my cousins and stuff like that, friends, from very young, you buy them a Walkman to listen to music and put a cassette inside. By the next day, they've scattered the whole Walkman. They're not listening to music. They just want to see how it works. What is the soul of it? So they will scatter it. I start saying, oh, so this is what plays the stuff. This is what did this. This is what did this. Then they will put it back together again. Those people now understand not how just to listen to music with a Walkman. They understand how the Walkman works. You understand? So some people are like that, but some people, what they do is they take that Walkman and listen to music and then, hey, don't touch it, oh, don't let it break, oh. So they do everything the manufacturer tells them to do. But those people that learn, they do everything the manufacturer doesn't tell them. They become like the god of it and they take it apart. And that's why someone like Da Vinci, for those of you that have heard about Leonardo da Vinci, he was an artist, an architect, a scientist, a doctor, everything. And that's because, but he never had formal education in medicine, but he has a lot of medical theories and breakthroughs that he made because he was just curious. He was curious about the human body. It was said that he would go and he will buy dead bodies from the morgue and he will take it home and he will cut them open and he will look at it and look at all the organs and the veins and the arteries and just look at what does this do. This one is connected to this one is connected to. Before you know it, because then it was living early period, they didn't know how to preserve bodies. They will start decomposing. They will bury it, go and buy another one, bring it, open it again and look at it. You see, by the time he was done, he understood more about medicine than the people that went to school to study it because he was learning. The same thing he did with art. With art, he would just go out to the field. His father couldn't afford to get him a traditional art teacher. So what he did was he would go to the field because his father wasn't particularly rich. And at that time, art was like an aristocrat type of skill. So his father couldn't afford it. So he would just go into the field and just look at flowers. He would look at them for a very long time. He would pluck it, take out the petals, draw each petal, take a bird, draw the wings, draw the feet, draw the beak for hours. And that's how he became an incredible artist. He deconstructed. He never went to school. The same thing with architecture. He looked at things and he was like, how does this thing work? How many of you are doing that with whatever career you are doing? The problem with the difference between education and learning is that learning deconstructs things. So it puts things apart. Education watches somebody else put things together. So when you are being educated, you are watching your teacher is the one putting the thing together for you. So, but with learning, you are learning how to put it apart. With education, they are teaching you how to put it together. So with education, they are never showing you the soul of the thing. They are only showing you the finished product. With learning, you are going from the finished product and understanding the elemental thing. So you are understanding it to the smallest element. That's what I did with design, to be honest with you. Do you know how many times my system crashed? Because I would just do some things in Photoshop. Before you know it, it would just start hanging and it would just crash. It was frustrating, but I'd learned how to do something and how not to do something. So there's some effects. People say, where did you learn this effect from? I said, I don't know. I was just playing and I just learned it. That's how I learn. Right now, I'm learning with AI. I'm doing AI and I use AI every single day for design, every single day. And I get better at it every single day because I'm pushing it. And I'm like, okay, so how do you do this thing? How do you do this thing? And I remember one AI software I was using, one AI app I was using, and they actually warned me. They said, if you put this kind of prompt again, they will block me. You see? But because I was learning, I was like, what can this AI do? So I said, let me type this, let me type this. And immediately it came up with a prompt. He said, this prompt is not allowed. If you do this, we will block you. How many of you have learned to the point whereby the owner is saying, this is not how I designed this thing to be. If you do this thing again, we will block you. You understand what I'm saying? But that's how you learn. That's how you learn. You challenge the status quo. That's how you go about lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. I'm a speaker right now, but I don't read books about speaking. I actually don't read books about speaking to say, okay, I read this book by this person and tells you. Some people do that. It's not bad. They teach, so they go and learn how to speak. I don't do that. I speak from my heart and I try to go there. So when I speak with people, I go there. I go there. I ask them questions that they never expected me to ask. I say things that they never expected me to say. You understand? And that's how I learn how to speak, because I'm deconstructing speaking. You understand? I'm not trying to be like somebody. I'm trying to understand how do you speak to get into the mind of a person. If I don't want to get into the mind of a person, I want to get into the mind of Lucky. I want to get into the mind of Faith. So I'm going to, sometimes when I speak to people, some people say, oh man, you just ask me this question. Nobody ever, and they get uncomfortable because I'm trying to go there. I'm trying to not just talk with a human being. I'm trying to talk to Faith, the human being, and understand Faith. You understand? So that's what learning is about. Learning is about not allowing yourself to be constrained to what education constrains you to do. So it's very important. You see, education is based on courses, going through courses. That's what education is, going through courses. So people tell you, I did this course. What course did you read in school? I read this course. I read architecture. I read urban and regional planning. So everybody's so course-minded. But the problem with courses is that it's so rigid and you hardly get stuck with courses. As long as you do what the teacher wants and there's a teacher there to be teaching you, you won't get stuck. But it's in getting stuck that you discover new things. And that's why learning is not about going through courses. Learning is about course correcting. You understand? So you get to a place and then you get stuck. And when you get stuck, you're not like, okay, how do I get over this hump now? And you're thinking for like days, weeks. I don't know. How? I'm stuck. But when you now get unstuck, you will now realize that you've learned a new way of doing something because it took you 6 weeks to try to figure out how to get unstuck. That getting unstuck is very important. People that know me know that I write a lot of my thoughts on social media and stuff like that. And then, but when I started writing, I realized that people started asking me questions. And they were saying, okay, so when I write something, people say, I don't understand what you mean by this, sir. Can you shed more light? At first, I used to shed more light, but then I stopped because I realized I wasn't helping these people. I wasn't helping them to think more. And I stopped when I read a book. There was a book I read, and the book said the difference between Chinese proverbs and American or Western proverbs. It says Chinese proverbs always sound like a riddle. So when you read a Chinese proverb by Confucius or an Asian proverb by someone like Lao Tzu, they would say something like, I always say, the river goes against the grain of the sand. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to you when you listen to it. The river goes against the grain of the sand. What does that mean? You understand? But that's what those guys should tell people. When people went to them for advice, they'll just tell them those things. The river goes against the grain of the sand. And then the person that gets the advice, you don't ask them any more questions, because you went into one jungle to go and meet Confucius in one hamlet like that. And then you go, he won't answer you again to ask many other things. And then you go and think about that thing for like a year, 2 years. The river goes against the grain of the sand. The river goes against the grain of the sand. And then you're musing on this thing every single day for about 2 years. And then all of a sudden, you see a river and you see the sand, and then it makes sense. And you're like, wow, I get what he's saying now. And then those people, what they do is that they will travel back to meet the guy and say, I finally get it. And the guy will say, now you've learned because you've done some work. That's how the Asians used to do it, the Eastern world. But then some people came from the Western world, and this is where Western knowledge is so surface. They will tell you, the thing will be so open to you like this. So they will tell you hard work pays off. That's like open, you understand? And so we've gotten so used to this Western way of thinking, that of education, that just tells us 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. So we are not asking why anymore. Do you understand? So it's so open. It's so open. So you're just being educated. You're just being told the answer. Unlike how the Easterners used to do it. They never told you the answer. You go and figure out the answer. Muse on it. Think about it. Let it give you a little bit of a headache. Get stuck, then get unstuck. And that's how you learn. That's what learning is all about. So today, I want to challenge you to learn. Learn by deconstructing. Ask questions. Don't register for any more courses this year. You've registered for enough. You've registered for 5 and you've only done 1. You've only completed 1. Forget about registering for courses and start observing, start having conversations with people. Start working on your computer, not because you have a client. Work because you are curious to what you can do with design. Start taking photos, not because they are calling you for a wedding. Just go out to the open and just say, I want to see what it's like to photograph an ant colony today. And then go out looking for an interesting ant colony and see how interesting your photo would be. You see, this artwork behind me, I created it. It wasn't for a client. It was me. I just wanted to see if, for those of you that can see, it has a pear with lips on it, smiling. I just wanted to see if I could humanize a fruit. That's what I wanted to see. Nobody was paying. It took me several days to get that fruit, that mouth to blend. Because first of all, I had to take a picture of someone's lips that I liked. So I now look, I said, okay, this girl has nice lips. Let me take a picture. And I took a picture of the lips. And I went. And I took a picture of a pear. And I started trying to make it blend. I never watched any tutorial. I was just using blend options. Then I came up with something. You understand? When people saw it, I did this thing like almost 12 years ago. When people saw it, people were asking me what tutorial I used. I told them I didn't use a tutorial, but a lot of people thought, you don't want to share your ideas with us. But that's the thing. They didn't understand that I went through the rigor of learning, not the ease of education. And so I want to advise you today, if you want to get to the height of your career, go through the rigor of learning. Sometimes it's boring, sometimes it takes time, sometimes you get stuck, but at the end, it gives you better results. So I want to stop here right now so I could get more questions from you, but I hope someone here has gotten the difference between lifelong learning and limited education.
Definitely, we have, sir. My book is really full. This is amazing. Thank you so much, sir. It is my first time hearing you speak today, and I don't think you are overhyped. I don't think all the things that I'd read was them overhyping you. I think it's point on, like spot on. Everything they said about your sessions is point on, and I really look forward to hearing more from you. I think Tia will be speaking at the Youth Connect event. I saw one about Youth Connect event in Abuja. If you can, ensure that you're a part of that as well. Thank you so much, sir. I heard him say that he has 20 plus years in the graphic design. Guys, if you are just getting into design, because I heard many people say they are just getting into design, I think you want to ask very design related questions. So he answered some, tinker a lot, don't just stay one place, tinker a lot. So we have some questions that have been sent in for him. But if you have any questions you'd like to ask him as well, feel free to drop your questions in the comments and we'll take those questions. All right. So we had some questions already prepared for you. So people who are filling the form, they sent in their questions and I will just pull that up now to ask. All right. So the first person is asking. Okay. The first person is asking, what social media platform should one use effectively to promote his or her brand as a graphic designer? What social media platform works best? Basically, if I was paraphrasing, what social media platforms work best for graphic designers? That's the first question.
All right. Well, that's a good question. What social media platform? They all work well. There isn't one that works best for graphic designers. There's one that works best for you. You understand? So there's none that works best for the whole industry. There's one that works best for you. And that's where you must understand what kind of graphic designer you are and how you best express yourself. So there are some graphic designers that are very proficient when it comes to visual work. And that's why you must understand that graphic design is not restrained to pixels. So some people are very proficient when it comes to pixel type portfolio. So their work is incredible. You understand? They do good work. And if you do good work, then you will find, even you find yourself more drawn to a place where you can display your good work. You understand? So you go to those ones that allow you to better display your work in a way where the resolution doesn't fall. So you see yourself on Facebook, on Instagram, you know, those platforms that are kind of good for if you are very visual driven and visual proficient. But then this way I say graphic design is not just about being able to tinker with pixels. Graphic design is always also about thoughts and being able to share your thoughts about the subject matter that relates to design. So there are some designers that they might not be um, very proficient when it comes to their work, might not be really good, but their thoughts on particular things that relate to graphic design is incredible. And so there's some graphic designers that I follow on Twitter, because when they talk on Twitter, it makes sense. You understand? They're always like, oh, this insight makes sense. You understand? So they're able to talk about matters that relate to design and stuff like that. But you won't see their work. You don't see their work, but you see their thoughts on the subject matter. So if you're someone that thinks a lot and has questions that you want people to have a discussion on, then be on Twitter. That was made, or X, what they call it now. Be on X. It was made for you. But there are also other people. It's not like if their work is the best or they think a lot, but they have quality thoughts on the subject matter. They're just good with resources. They're just good to find the latest news on a graphic design related matter. They'll tell you Adobe just acquired Figma, or this person just did this, or Nvidia just came out with this new thing. They are so good. For those people, like platforms like Facebook is good for them, LinkedIn is good for them because they're there on top of the matter. So there's a guy in my mentoring in fact there are a few people in my mentoring group. I've noticed that they are good when it comes to information, gleaning information. So even when they put up videos, I always watch it because I know it's coming from that person. When they put up information, I know it's coming from that person. I know it's interesting. And the other day I was just watching one. I was like, man, thank God this guy is on my mentoring group because I like this information the guy just gave. You understand? So know how best you express yourself. And thereby, don't think because you are in the industry and you are a graphic designer, you always have to be selling pixels. That is not true. Sometimes what your thoughts is what you sell. So some of you as graphic designers, you are going to do more of speaking to people, sharing your thoughts, having sessions where designers can talk about stuff. Some of you are going to have graphic design podcasts. Some of you are going to have graphic design YouTube channels. Those things are also expressions of graphic design. Some of you are going to be a hub of resources. You understand? You're going to have a platform where people are just going to say, go there. If you just need resources, just go there. You understand? If you want to know the latest news about it, just follow this person. So some people are just that way. So it's not about the social media platform. It's about you. What are your strengths? When you find your strength, you will find your platform, the platform that best works for you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I think what resonated for me is that it's about you. It's not about what platform you use, but specifically about you. He said he has a mentorship program. I think we all, not just you, we all want to be on that mentorship platform. I don't think it's just for the graphic designers, it's for creatives. Everything he has shared this evening will help you no matter the space you are in. All right, sir, the comments are all about, oh, amazing session, and all. Okay, someone has a question. He says, that's Mystery of God. Sir, why did you start designing? What inspired you to begin your journey in design?
Why did I start design? That's a good question. Well, I'm thinking of where to start it from. because I started designing quite a long time ago. But I think the truth is that I always loved art, and I'd always been artistic from very young. Like my son right now is very artistic, and he has been artistic since he was born. So he has that gene that I had. Um, I love to draw. I was always drawing as a child. I didn't like school that much, so I wasn't doing well in school. So but drawing was my thing. I could look at something and go and draw it immediately. I had that photographic memory for drawing. So I think, but then, I was born in the 80s, and in the 80s, there were very few careers that allowed you to use your skill of drawing, because so drawing was looked at as a hobby, something you did just as a hobby. You didn't draw to make money. So whenever they asked me what I wanted to be in future, I didn't know what to say because there were no careers. Trust, nobody knew anything about graphic design then. It wasn't a thing. It really wasn't a thing. You understand? So I I was very confused as a child, and I think by the time I'd finished university, graphic design had started, coming to the fore. And I remember I there was a school that came from Canada. Okay, no, before the school came from Canada, I had a classmate. In fact, my first experience of seeing graphic design was my final year in Ife, and I had this classmate that was just doing graphic design for people. And one day, I just saw him working, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm doing graphic design." And he was cutting up photos and putting it on backgrounds. And I just thought, this is exactly what I want to do. This thing you're doing right here is like magic to me, but this is what I want to do. And that was the first imprint of graphic design I had in my mind. So when I left school and I wanted to go and do, I was so disillusioned. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So I studied architecture. And after I studied architecture, I said I wanted to go for my master's. So I didn't want to go for my master's in. I said, okay, so let me do interior design. I didn't know anything about interior design. I didn't want to do it, but I just wanted to do my master's. But then when the school came, the school from Canada came to recruit people. They said, why do I want to do interior design? I said, I don't know much about any other thing I can do. And they asked me what I like to do, and I said, I like to draw. And they told me, have I ever considered graphic design? And that's when I went back to my classmate that was doing it in the room. And I said, oh, yeah, 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 but I never knew you could do that as a career. And the woman told me, of course. And then she brought out a brochure and said, you can work in advertising, you can work as this, you can own your business, you can do this. And I said, okay, that's what I want to do. And then I went to school to study it. And that has been the journey with graphic design for me. So I got into it from very young, an interest in art from very young. But then it was just from interaction and just seeing a friend doing it that I actually knew it was possible to do it. And that's why, for me as a person, I'm so um, passionate about sharing my work. When I do my work, I share my work. I share my work every single day. So whenever I create art, I always share because I think of somebody out there that is confused about what they are meant to do. But then when they see you do it, they're like, oh, that's exactly what I want to do. This guy just clarified it. That's why I share a lot, so that someone that needs clarity after their career can say, that thing you did is what I want to do, that thing you're doing. So um, I found graphic design because one of my friends had the courage to share it and did it in the open. And then I could see it and then give me some context. So yeah, that's how I found graphic design, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing. It's so nice. I've heard a minister say that the secrets of men are in their story. So I don't think anyone here wants to have a rigid mindset. Oh, I studied Gary farming. I definitely have to be a Gary farmer because I don't want to waste my school fees. Please, this is 21st century. Allow yourself evolve. All right. So another question someone has here is, that's Dotun. The thing is asking, what design tool can one start with? Because there are many of them. I agree with you, guys. There are many of them. He says he's still playing around with Canva. So what tool can he best use for his graphic design? What tool can he use to start learning graphic design?
Oh, that's a good question. If you ask me that question like 2 years ago, even last year, I would have given you a straightforward answer. But now when people ask that question, I get confused a bit. I don't know where to start answering them from because tools are becoming less and less relevant. And that's one thing I've learned. Graphic design is changing or has changed, but people don't understand it yet. That design industry has changed massively. It has changed. So when we're talking about Canva, Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, all those things, they're going to start dropping like flies very soon. So those tools won't matter anymore. One thing I would advise you to do, it doesn't matter, you can learn Canva, learn Photoshop, but don't pitch your tent. Don't spend too much time trying to be an expert with a tool. What I would advise you to do right now, and this is what I've been advocating for people for a while now, is start dabbling into AI. Please start dabbling into AI so that you don't get left out. Start dabbling into it because that is where work is going. And it's not just for designers I'm talking here, for anything you're doing. Find how how AI is used to solve the problem of your industry. Or just whatever industry you're in, whether you're in the health industry, you're in the entertainment industry, you're in the sports industry, please start working with AI. Very important because I started using AI about 2 months ago, and I've always been skeptical about AI. I'm like, oh man, what does this thing do? Can't do it as well as people. But then 2 months later, it can do it as well as people, and it can do it faster, and it's getting better every single day. So if you're doing graphic design right now and it's taking you 2 weeks to deliver on a job, there's an AI machine that can deliver in 5 minutes. And the truth of the matter, if you are working for businesses care about turnaround time because if they can get the work faster, they can put it out there faster and they can make money faster. They are not going to be that emotional to work with you because you are human anymore. So what you want to do is leverage AI. And people have this mentality that the AI will take our jobs. No, it won't take your job, but it's going to put some people out of work because they don't know how to use it. Now, AI wouldn't take your job because not everybody can use these creative AI platforms. And that's the thing, it's still good to use your graphic design knowledge. So your ability to talk about fonts, to talk about colors, to talk about hierarchy, talk about effects, talk about art styles would always come to play that the layman cannot do. So the things I do with AI, the layman cannot do it. The layman cannot do it. They will try, but they will fall. You understand? So what I'll tell you is dabble into AI, even as you're learning Canva, learning Photoshop, and this Photoshop thing is getting harder and harder because their subscription rates getting higher and higher. And a lot of us will not be able to afford to use Photoshop anymore. But the good thing is that AI is going to come. Some people say I should recommend AI. There's Bing, BING, Bing for designers. Very important. Use it. It's free. It gives you 15 prompts every day, and you can use it. You don't need more than 15 prompts every day. There's one that I'm using right now called Ideogram, ideogram.ai. Incredible too. You do incredible work with it. Incredible work. I created some logos with it. I shared it with my mentoring people, and they saw it. You can't tell the difference between what's done on the computer and what's done with this. And I did this in 5 minutes. So I will tell you, the best tool you should use is AI. Get out of the software world and start using these platforms. Very important, you understand? Start using your phone. And that's where I'm going to end this question in. Use your phone. Laptop companies are going to have problems very soon. You understand? Those people that make everything is converging to the phone. Every industry. People that do videography, done with their phone now. How many people are carrying these heavy cameras, DSLRs anymore? People are carrying their phones. You understand? Music, they are doing music on their phones. You understand? So design right now, get comfortable using your phone for design. I used to mock people that they say, oh, I do design with my Android phone. And I say, no, go and do it. No. Those people are right. Those people are on the right path. Everything is converging to your phone. Use your phone. Look for a way to use your phone to do design because a lot of us are going to be doing design on the go now. Design, the results have to be faster now. So I'll tell you, your tools are AI, and your mobile phone, your mobile device. Let those things be your friend. The clients are not going to be so patient anymore for you to go and launch your software and come back 2 days, 2 weeks later. No, they want to see it right there, sitting beside you in that bus. What can you show them in that bus, in that elevator? It's no longer elevator pitches anymore. It's going to be elevator design. Do you understand? So between the ground floor and the 25th floor, what can you do with AI and show them that you can do it? You understand? That's how the world is going to be. So you must be ready for it.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I like the part that you said everyone should get working on their phone. You know, guys, I've had so many young guys come to me and say, "Oh, I wish I would just have a laptop. If I can have a laptop, their whole life depends on it." Yeah. But now with this, it's easier. So about joining his mentorship circle, Mr. Lucky is on that circle, I think. So, we'll be getting link. Mr. Tola may also share link to Mr. Lucky, and you will get it. There's also a freebie that has been dropped by Patricia also in the chat. Please ensure you are looking at the chat. So last question before we let you go. So someone is asking, how can I create engaging content that reflects my brand personality? How can he package himself, basically, is what he's asked.
You know, I listened to Patricia and there was something interesting she said about being human and being yourself. And she was saying sometimes just telling people, putting up a video of you going to the gym or a photo of you working out at the gym, you see, might get you that client that you've been looking for. A lot of times we are too strategic. And when we get too strategic, we become boring and too predictable. So we are always talking business. You see, you'll be surprised what those off brand discussions will bring you to. Those off brand discussions, sometimes the gold is there. So a lot of us, you see, what you're saying is what content can you put up to promote your brand? But you need to stop thinking about promoting your brand and start promoting your person. You understand? Your person. You are a human being first. And so you need to start sharing like a human being. You see, I support a club called Manchester United, and I've been supporting them for a while. And I can't tell you how many people I have gotten to work with just by the fact that I support this football club called Manchester United. I think someone might okay, yeah. Just by telling someone, oh, I need to go and watch a Manchester United match. And someone say, you support Manchester United? I'm like, yeah. And then I support Manchester United too. And then we get to start talking about Manchester United. And after I just say, that logo job, I think they're the one that will do it. So they just do it and let's just see what you come up with. They didn't look at any portfolio again. Sometimes I'll have a meeting with somebody, and because the maybe the jersey I wore has Manchester United or something like that, just reflects something. And they're like, "Oh, you're a United fan? Ah, man, United for life." That kind of thing. And you'll be surprised how those things just make people just think, forget about the portfolio. Let's talk. We are the same tribe when it comes to this sport. So I trust you already. And that's the same thing with people that go to these Ivy League schools. People get jobs just by wearing a Harvard sweater, Harvard hoodie. Just wear a Harvard hoodie and a Harvard guy. All right. And they start talking. And they hire you based on that. So a lot of those off-brand things have the courage to be vulnerable. You understand? Sometimes talk about your family. Sometimes talk about, you understand, what happened in your day. Sometimes talk about your experience in a boss. You understand? Everything doesn't have to be, okay, so I worked on this logo today, and then, no. It doesn't always have to be that. Remember, you are a human being first before you are a designer. So people have to relate with you as a human being. You see? So a lot of people don't care how good you are. People are very emotional. They care about how things in your life align with things in their life. You see, and that's why in music, especially in hip hop music, there are some people who are rappers and they are extremely good rappers in terms of lyrics, in terms of lyricism. they're extremely good. Their wordplay, their punchline, their delivery, everything is good. But they never sell records. You understand? They sell just a few records, a few thousand. And some people are not so good lyrically, but then they sell millions of records. And then I studied them, I'm like, why? So when you look at somebody like the late Tupac, Tupac was not a lyricist per se. You understand? He really wasn't. He was a good rapper, but not really that exciting. You know, he really wasn't, when it comes to lyricism, not the best. You won't put in top 100. But then the good thing about him was that he talked about everything. He talked about his life, talked about his mother, talked about his unborn child, talked about every single thing. So a lot of people don't know about rap, but they've heard Dear Mama before, and everybody has a mother. So when they hear Dear Mama, they're like, wow, man, this guy spoke about his mother. It makes me remember my mother. But some rappers are so about rap culture. And then the average person says, I don't understand rap culture. I don't understand what this person is saying. Please mute it. You understand? If you're able to talk about those off-subject things as a designer, you'll be surprised how they come to play. For me, I'm a very spiritual person. I talk about religion a lot. But for a very long time, I was insecure about talking about religion. And let's just keep religion apart from work. I felt religion would affect, or faith, I don't want to use the word religion. I felt like my discussion about faith would affect my work negatively. So I was keeping faith aside. But after a while, I said, this is me. I am a faith-based person. And when I started talking about it, it really helped my business. Funny enough, people were more interested in the fact that I was a faith-based designer than I was an excellent designer. So someone say, I want to work with you because I like your view on this. I like your values on this. So I would say be yourself. Bring everything about you to the fore. Don't be boring. Don't just be about work. Be about life. And then you realize that you connect with more people that way.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Everyone in the chat are just going crazy with how insightful and impactful this is. Indeed, be your own brand. Not about colors and arrangement. Just be the brand and say what you need to say. Be very relatable to people. Thank you so much, Mr. Tola. As I said, I look forward to more sessions where I'll get to hear you speak. And you have a very strong army coming to join your community, because I think everyone wants to know how to get into the mentorship circle. Thank you, Mr. Lucky, again for putting this together.